Hello and welcome future Year 7s. I'm Mr. Kiernan from the PE department, and today I'm going to be going through what PE at King's Leadership Academy is like, and also I'm going to take you through a brief lesson about the history of the Olympic Games, as this year should be the Summer Olympic Games. However, they have been cancelled, so I thought I'd give you a bit of knowledge and background behind the Olympic Games and how this relates to PE. So before we begin our lesson, I just want to talk about PE at King's Warrington. So at King's, all pupils in year 7 and 8 have 2 hours of PE per week as part of the creative art curriculum. PE includes sports such as rugby, football, lacrosse, netball, basketball, dance, and many, many more. So if you're into your gymnastics, even your football, dance, we have a lot of activities going on, both in lessons and extracurricular with sports teams. Okay, we like to compete against other schools as well as in our own lessons. So PE is very, very competitive, and we always live by these aspire values. So we always want to be reaching that achievement or aspiration. Okay, so we want you guys to be competing against each other, but also competing against yourself. So this could be you wanting to achieve the best time or score within your class, or also beat a personal best. Also, we live by self-awareness. This is where we want you guys to become self-confident. You guys know your own bodies, okay? And also be professional. This means full PE kit at all times, and also having that respect when you speak to teachers. Integrity means knowing when you make a mistake and being able to correct that mistake. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes. Now and again, I myself make mistakes. However, it's how you come over this mistake and improve your own performance or improve yourself, which is key. Respect, I touched on a little bit in professionalism. This is where I want you guys to treat others how you want to be treated yourselves. Okay, I'm sure I don't need to be telling you guys this, but in PE, when the teacher is talking, we don't want anyone else to be talking, as there is a lot of demonstrations and key stuff you need to learn, just like in many of your other lessons. And finally, endeavour. This is where we want you guys to try your best in everything you do. We will motivate you as much as possible, but we need you guys to not give up. So I've got a little do now on the screen. I just want you to watch this video, and I want you to think about how this makes you feel, okay? And how this relates to the Olympic Games.
The dream, by definition, is to contemplate the possibility of doing something. Planning and goal setting bring the dream to life. I guess you can say they get the dreams heart pumping. Everyone has hopes, dreams, desires, passions, and aspirations. But very few set and write down goals. And for the few that do, we tend to have the utmost admiration. Because they are the 10%ers that are living every day at the desired destination of next level. I guess you okay living low like bass while you watch them live high like treble. But see, there's no reason for you to settle when you can win and get a medal by simply setting your goals on a daily basis. In most cases, when the goals are executed and the dreams become reality, them frowns quickly turn to smiling faces. See, execution is worship. But without goals or a plan, the execution is dead. Hashtag executed. When in reality, it's your goals that should be executed. I guess you don't understand that success is so therapeutic. I heard somebody say people that don't have goals work for people that do. Without goals and a plan, your life is just standing still like a statue. So you tell me, how can you hit a target that you don't even have? So whether your goals are short or long, like the neck of a giraffe, it's imperative that you give yourself direction by creating and implementing a plan. And once that plan is in place, you instantly have clear vision, and now you can stand tall with your head up high, because now you know what to do and when to do it. And thus you're prepared when opportunity knocks, and well on your way to living life affluent. So the choice is yours. They say a dream without goals is just a dream. So if you refuse to set goals, you might as well go back to sleep and make it a deep sleep so the dream will seem more real.
Okay then guys, so moving into our lesson. So every lesson at King's, especially in PE, has a lesson hypothesis. This hypothesis means a statement that we will be investigating within the lesson, and we're going to try and prove it to see if it's true or false. So today's lesson hypothesis is the Olympic Games have become more competitive over the last 2,000 years. True or false? So before we begin this lesson, we need to break down this lesson hypothesis then, and we need to really understand this statement. So I've highlighted Olympic Games, competitive, and 2,000 years. So what we need to know before doing this lesson, what we're going to be investigating is the Olympic Games. What are the Olympic Games? What do we mean by competitive? So is this beating personal best, or is this trying to achieve that first place, that gold medal, and trying to beat your opponents? And over the last 2,000 years, so how the Olympics first begun to also now, okay? So I've got a little starter activity then. So what do you already know about the Olympic Games? So I want you to pause this video, write down these questions, and try and answer these to the best of your abilities. I'll just read them out for you now. Can you list any events? What countries compete? How often are the Olympic Games? And do you know any famous athletes? So when you're ready, just continue the video. Can you list any events? So there's loads and loads of events in the Olympics Games. Just to list a few: 100-meter sprint, javelin, boxing, football. What countries compete? The IOC recognises 205 countries and regions and hosts the Summer and Winter Olympic Games, although countries can be banned. For example, Turkey was actually banned a couple of years ago. How often are the Olympic Games? Every 4 years. However, there are Summer and Olympic Games, okay? So Summer Games is every 4 years, so this is so 2008, 2012, 2016, so it should be this year, the Summer Olympics. Whereas the Winter Olympics, in that 2-year gap, so it's 2010, 2014, etc., every 4 years. So it's in every 4-year increments, but there are 2 types of Olympics. Do you know any famous athletes? So we have Usain Bolt, Jessica Ennis, Mo Farah, Michael Phelps, Muhammad Ali, Simone Biles. There are loads, okay? A lot of athletes actually start their careers up in the Olympics. So for example, Floyd Mayweather, one of the most famous boxers, okay, with his undefeated record, actually started in the Olympics, but he didn't actually win. So to move on then, I want you to write down these questions, and I'm going to play a short video, and I want you to just answer these questions. So when and where were the Olympics introduced? What were they in aid of? What events were in the ancient Olympics? And a reach question, what was awarded as the first place prize? So I want you to just pause the video, write down these questions, and I'll play the video. Okay, so I'm going to play this video now. If you need to at any point to write down your answers, just pause this video and then carry on.
Thousands of years in the making, what began as part of a religious festival honoring the Greek god Zeus in the rural Greek town of Olympia has today become the greatest show of sporting excellence on Earth. The inception date in contest every now and then, wouldn't you say? For the first 13 games, the ancient Greek Olympics featured just one event, the 200-yard dash. But over time, new, exciting contests like boxing, chariot and mule racing, and even a foot race where the competitors wore a full suit of armor enticed many hopeful champions into the Olympic Stadium. The combined running, jumping, wrestling, javelin throwing, and hurling the discus event known as the pentathlon inspired world-class competition. And the pancration, a no-holds-barred fight where only biting and eye gouging were prohibited, ensured the toughest men were victorious. And victorious they were. Nobody tops the local baker Coroibus, who in 776 BC became the very first Olympic champion. And we'll never forget Orsippus of Megara, the 720 BC Olympic victor who tore away his loincloth so he could race unimpeded, inaugurating the ancient Greek tradition of competing in the nude. Now there's a winning streak if ever we've seen one. But all good things must end. In 391 AD, the Christian Roman Emperor Theodosius banned pagan practices, so the world soon bid a fond farewell to the Olympic Games. But just like those early pancration athletes, you can't keep a good one down. And 1,500 years later, in 1896, the modern Olympic Games kicked off in Athens, Greece. Today, the Summer and Winter Olympics bring international world-class athletes together by the thousands, uniting fans by the billions for the world's foremost sporting competition. Citius, Altius, Fortius, 3 cheers for the Olympics.
Okay then guys, so we're just going to go through these questions now. So, when and where were the Olympics introduced? They started in 776 BC before being banned in 391 AD. It was then reintroduced in 1896. What were they in aid of? It was a religious celebration in honor of Zeus. Number 3, what events were in the ancient Olympics? So the first event was a 200-yard dash. Then boxing, chariot and mule racing, a foot race with armor, a pentathlon, which is javelin, discus, running, jumping, etc. And a pancration fighting was introduced. Reach, what was awarded as a first place prize. So it didn't actually show this in the video, but there was a little cutscene showing a competitor being presented with this. So there was no medal. Okay? It was just a wreath and a victor's welcome from their home village. So imagine where you're from, maybe your street. If you won the Olympics, which is a really, really tough event, you won, all you would get is a round of applause and a warm welcome from your street and a nice wreath. So what gave the Greeks the idea of these events? So these sports were common in hunting and was good preparation for war. The Greek armies had to be fit enough to march long distances carrying all their heavy equipment and then begin the fight with the enemy. I've got a little reach question here now. Try and think if you know, don't worry if not, because it is a tough question. Where did the name marathon come from? So I want you to pause this video now and try and hazard a guess at where it came from, and then I'll continue the video. So where did the name marathon come from? According to legend, the Greek messenger Philippides had to run from the battlefield in Marathon all the way to Athens to announce the defeat of the Persians. The distance of this epic run was 25 miles, and according to legend, as soon as he had delivered the message, Philippides died of exhaustion. So this is an actual event in the Olympic Games today. However, it is 26.2 miles, so it's been extended a little bit. But I think this is an amazing bit of history, and especially that someone, well, the person who named this event knew of the event of Philippides dying of exhaustion, but still wants to include it into the Olympic Games. I think it's fascinating, and it is one of the toughest events. So I'm just going to talk through now quickly our expectations in PE and how this can relate to the Olympic Games. So we have the A in Aspire. That stands for achievement. So this is where we want you to do your best. I want you to compete against each other and also yourselves to improve your own performance. So this could be that if you got 18 seconds in the 100-meter sprint, you might want to try and do it in 17 seconds next time. But also it could be you want to beat everyone in your class. What we like to do in PE lessons is we like to get all our Olympic records up and we like to try and beat them. So whether this is javelin, 100-meter sprint or anything, we try and get you guys to achieve these goals. Self-awareness, you know you. We are trying to improve your confidence and also sporting ability. Okay, but you guys know your own bodies, what you're capable of, what you should and shouldn't be doing. Okay, professionalism, we expect full PE kit. Integrity, there's nothing wrong with making a mistake as long as you notice it and correct it. This could be from a sporting perspective, whether you had your wrong leg forward in a start or you made a false start. Okay, as long as you can hold your hands up, admit you made a mistake and then try to improve it and to improve your performance. Respect, treat others how you want to be treated. So no talking over teachers or students, just like you expect teachers to listen to you. Endeavour, never give up. We will motivate you, but you need to carry on trying. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a research task here for you about the Olympics. So I've got some questions. If you want to pause the video now, write down these questions and then try and research these questions. So, what do the Olympic rings stand for? What is the overall Olympic record for 100-meter sprint, javelin, marathon, and triple jump? A little bit of a reach here. Who holds these records? Question 3. Who has won the most Olympic medals? Question 4. Who hosted the 2008 Olympic Games? So you might have been born this year, so this could be a bit of a fun fact to know where the Olympic Games were hosted in 2008. I remember these Olympics very well. So what is the Olympic torch? That is another question for you. So I'm going to go through the answers now. So the Olympic rings represent each continent, with North and South America being combined, and they must be on a white background. Question number 2, the 100-meter sprint Olympic record is 9.63 seconds by Usain Bolt of Jamaica. Javelin, 90.57 meters, that's Andrea Thorkinsden of Norway. Marathon is 2 hours, 6 minutes and 23 seconds by Samuel Winjori of Kenya. And triple jump, 18.09 meters by Kenny Harrison, USA. Question number 3. USA swimmer Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian, having won 28 medals in both individual and team events, 23 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze. I think this is an amazing achievement. Can you imagine just getting 1 Olympic medal? Okay, even if that was just a bronze medal, that is a massive achievement. To be able to have 23 golds, 3 silvers and 2 bronzes is just a massive achievement, and he is one of the most sporting greats. So question number 4 then, very important one. This was in Beijing, China. Question number 5, the Olympic flame is a symbol used in the Olympic movement. It is also a symbol of continuity between the ancient and modern games. This ceremony starts with the Olympic torch relay, which formally ends with the lighting of the Olympic cauldron during the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. So, relating back to the start of the lesson hypothesis, I want you guys to think now then. So the Olympic Games have become more competitive over the last 2,000 years. I want you guys to think, has this been proven to be true or false? What I'd like you to do is email myself, a.kiernan@kingswarrington.com, and let me know your thoughts about this statement, whether it's true or false. But I don't just want you to say true. I want you to explain why. I want you to say why you think this is true or why you think this is false. Think about those ancient games and then think about how they have evolved over the last 2,000 years to today's Olympic Games. And there is also a bonus task for you guys. This is for us teachers in the PE department to try and get to know you as a pupil. So if a parent or carer has Twitter, send us some footage of you showcasing your skills in sport. This could be anything. So for example, it could be rugby, football, golf, dance, or even running. And our Twitter is at the bottom there. So just tag us in it so we can see what you've been doing. So that brings us to the end of our lesson today, guys. So I just want you to think about now what you've learned over this lesson, the history of the Olympic Games, and then think what PE is going to be like when you come back to school. So just let us know if you're excited or if you're a bit nervous or how we can help you guys. But thank you very much for taking the time for this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in September.